This is 4.3a, adding and subtracting rational expressions. So the first thing is your essential question, like always, which you'll answer at the end. How do you add and subtract rational expressions? Okay, so adding rational expressions is like adding with normal fractions. Okay, just like multiplying is the same basic principle, so is adding. So I had 3/4 plus 2/3. How do we add fractions? Well, hopefully you know we need a common denominator. So we look at our common denominator as 4 and 3, and we look at those factors and we figure out, okay, what if we combine all of the factors, what number would that create? Okay, sometimes it's smaller, so if this was 4 and 8, our answer would be 8, so we would only have to change one of them. If it was 4 and 6, the answer would be 12, so we change both, but not to the highest number. For this thing, 4 and 3, the common denominator is 12, so I'm going to multiply this one by 3/3, which notice is 1. I'm multiplying by 1, so I'm not changing the value, just changing the look. This one I'm going to multiply by 4/4, also just 1, but it's changing the look, not the value. So I get 9/12, which if you simplify would be 3/4. Notice it stays the same. And I get 8/12. Okay, so we add, one thing to remember, the denominator, once you have that common denominator, that is the denominator of our answer. 12 is the denominator of our answer, and we just add the top numbers. 9 plus 8 is 17. 17/12. So we got a common denominator by using the factors. We added the top numbers and kept the common denominator the same, and that is exactly what we're going to do here. First of all, we have things that are already like denominators, easy ones. We don't have to do anything. We just add the top. So 8 minus 6b plus a plus 5b all over 8a. Combine our like terms. So we have the a terms and the b terms are going to combine together. So a plus a, 1a plus 1a is 2a, right? 1 apple plus 1 apple makes 2 apples. And then negative 6b plus 5b is negative 1b all over 8a. And then we simplify if we can, but remember, pluses and minuses are like glue. These are stuck together. I can't simplify the 2a and the 8a because the 2a is glued to the b with this minus sign. Since I can't factor, that is my answer. Okay? So we look at the next one. I'm going to factor it because since I can factor, I might be able to simplify. So if I factor this, I have a plus 3, a minus 1, and this one is the exact same, so it will be the exact same factors. And so let's combine. So the denominators are already common, so that stays the same. And we combine the top. I'm just going to do it, instead of writing it out and doing it, I'm going to do it right here. So I have the a terms and the constant terms. So in this case, 4a plus 1a is 5a. Negative 4 plus positive 4 is 0. So that's it. Can't factor the top. The bottom has pluses, so those things are glued together, meaning can't simplify. I'm done. Okay. Example 3. Subtraction. Okay, the easy thing to do with subtraction is change it to plus. To change it to plus, you distribute a negative across the top. So change all the signs on the things on the top. So plus, minus, plus. Change the signs. Then you do the normal steps. So in this case, common denominator. It's not factorable, so I keep it as is. And then I combine. So I have 2x minus 1x, which is 1x, plus 5y. These are glued together, can't factor, so can't simplify. Done. Next one. These are not the same. They're not common denominators. Now I gotta think, okay, how do I make them common denominators? Well, I can make this look semi-similar, but I have to take out a -1 GCF. And remember, if you have a fraction, Okay, say I had 2/3. If I had a negative on the bottom, some people call this the floating negative, meaning I can move it wherever I want. I can move it to the front, or I could put it on the top. So we can move the -1 wherever we want, and it still keeps the same value, because it's just denoting this as a negative fraction. That's true for polynomials. So right here, so keep everything the same, not going to change anything yet. The first fraction plus the second fraction, I'm going to have negative x squared minus 4. Since I factored out -1 GCF, the signs change. X squared becomes positive, 4 becomes negative. Notice they match now, except for that negative is the problem. So I'm going to move the negative up to here. So it becomes 2x squared minus x. Oops, sorry. Got a step ahead of myself. 2x squared over x squared minus 4 plus negative x minus 10 over x squared minus 4, because I changed the negative to the top. But I have to change all the signs. Now I can combine them because I have like terms, or common denominators. So I have 2x squared minus x minus 10. They are all unlike terms. Finally, now we have to factor. So the top one factors to 2x and x. Let's see. I'll write it out. 2x and x, 10 and 1, 5 and 2. So it looks like the 2 times 2, because that makes 4 to 5, which would make -1. That's what I'm thinking. So I think this is going to have a 2 here and a 5 here. Since I want the negative left, I'm going to make the bigger one negative. And then we check. -5x plus 4x, -1x. Good. Over difference of squares. So this is square root of x, square root of that one is 2. So I get x plus 2, x minus 2. Ooh, we got common factors now. So we have to simplify. So I get 2x minus 5 on top, x minus 2 on bottom. Remember, they're glued together with the pluses and minuses. So unless they're exactly the same all the way, can't do it since there's nothing else to factor. Done. This, example 4, is more what problems on your test, on your quizzes, and most of your homework is going to look like, where you have steps, something to do to make a common denominator, then you combine, then you factor, then you simplify, then you have your final answer. Okay? Now, let's have unlike denominators. So, we need to make the denominators the same using multiplication. Okay? Just like the normal fractions, right? We did multiply by 3 over 3 or 4 over 4. And we're going to do that same thing, but now it's going to have variables and polynomials and things to deal with. So this one, I have a 5y and a 5. How can I make this one look exactly the same as that one? Well, I'm going to need to multiply it by a y, because we have to use multiplication. So if I do that, watch what happens. I have 3x over 5y plus 5y squared over 5y. And a lot of people say, well, I can simplify. Don't. We need the common denominator, right? That's the whole point. We don't want to simplify right here because we need the common denominator. So we have to combine. So on the top, I get 3x plus 5y squared. On the bottom, I get 5y. Can we simplify? No, there's a plus. These are glued together. Can't simplify unless we can factor, which we can't. So that is it. Okay, example 6. Very similar, except now it's 4n squared. So this one I'm going to multiply by n squared over n squared. Remember, don't simplify anything yet. So I get 2mn squared over 4n squared plus 6n over 4n squared. So we have something in common. So I have 2mn squared plus 6n over 4n squared. Now we factor. So I take out, if I can, look at these terms up top. 2 and n in common, so I'm going to have a GCF of 2n. So I have mn plus 3 left on the top. On the bottom, 4n squared, can't factor that. Okay, since we have factored, now we can simplify. So I get 2, one of the n's simplifies. So I'm left with mn plus 3 glued together, and plus makes them glued together, over 2n. Can't factor more. Those things are glued together. They're not exactly the same, so we're done. There it is, mn plus 3 over 2n. Example 7. Okay, so let's see, 2x, 4x squared, so I have 2x over 2x. So I get 10x on the top, 4x squared on the bottom, which is the whole point. Oh, I'm going to move this, so plus -1 over 4x squared, right, because it's a minus, so I need to distribute the negative to everything on the top, which is just a 1 in this case. So I get 10x minus 1 over 4x squared. Can I factor? Nope. So that means I have to be done. Example 8. Ooh, this one's a little confusing. Well, before I do anything, I'm going to move that negative right there. Distribute. In this case, it's just a 4, so it's just -4. On the bottom, though, 3x minus 1 and x minus 2. What the heck? How am I going to get those the same with multiplication? All I have is multiplication. Well, remember when we dealt with the fractions, we dealt with the factors, common factors. We can deal with factors here. So I'm going to multiply this whole thing by 3x minus 1 over 3x minus 1. That is the factor that is missing. This one I'm going to multiply by x minus 2 over x minus 2. It looks complicated, but notice they're the same, right? They simplify to just 1, so I'm not changing the value, just changing the look. So we got to distribute, because we're going to have to simplify if possible. So the top one is x squared minus 2x over, oh, I should have given myself a little more space, x squared minus 2x over x minus 2, 3x minus 1. Don't distribute the bottom. There's no point in distributing the bottom. The top we have to distribute, which we'll see why in just a sec. Now I distribute my -4. So I get -12x plus 4 over, once again, the bottom don't distribute. You'll see why in just a second. Okay. Now then, we got to combine. I have some like terms here. -2x and -12x are like terms. So when I combine, I get x squared minus 14x plus 4 all over x minus 2, 3x minus 1. Okay. Now I can factor, if possible, x squared and 4. Ooh, those don't actually factor, so we're done. Okay, that is why we don't multiply out the bottom, though, is because we need to be able to simplify, we need the factors. The top we have to combine before we factor. The bottom stays the same, so might as well leave it in factored form. Okay, let's get much more difficult now. All right, so we got x and x, 1 and 1. That's an easy one to factor. So I get 3 on the top, x minus 1, x minus 1. They have to be the same because a positive 1 means make -2x. -1x minus 1x is indeed -2x. Plus, so this is x and x, 6 and 1, 2 and 3. Both of them can make a 5. So pay attention. -6 means 1 is positive, 1 is negative. So 2 and 3 doesn't work because they have to be the same to make a 5. So it must be 6 and 1. And so I'm going to try +6 and -1. Check it. 6x minus 1x is indeed positive 5x. Whew. Well, this is interesting. Let's look at the factors on the bottom. So we need to make them the same. This one has two x minus 1s. This one has an x plus 6 and an x minus 1. So they have one in common. Basically, since they have that one, I don't need to multiply by it. They already have it. So this one needs another x minus 1 to match. This one needs an x plus 6 to match. Okay, it's kind of hard to see, but those are x plus 6s. All right, and you can see when I do that, the bottom becomes x plus 6, x minus 1, x minus 1. The top becomes, distribute, 3x plus 18. Remember, we only distribute on the top because we got to combine things. Plus, this one becomes x plus 6, x minus 1, x minus 1. Notice they are the same. But I only needed 3 of them, so I only had to add one more factor to each one. So that's a nice little thing to pay attention to. So I get 1x minus 1. Okay, we have a lot of common terms here on top. I have a 3x and an x, constant and a constant, and 18 minus 1. So we simplify. So we get 4x plus 17 on the top, all over x plus 6, x minus 1 squared. Hopefully you notice x minus 1 occurs twice, so I can write that as x minus 1 squared. Save me some time. Okay, then I check. Can I factor that? Nope. Glued together, not exactly the same, so we're done. Okay. Example 10. So we have a difference of squares, so x and 3. We have a guess and check, x and x, 6 and 1, 3 and 2. It's got to be 3 and 2 on this one because we got to make a 1. 6 and 1 can't make a 1. Okay, so got to write it out. I'm going to leave a little space this time. 2 over x plus 3, x minus 3. Oh, should have done this beforehand. Distribute all the way across the top. It's just a 4, so that's kind of nice. On the bottom, it's x minus 3, x plus 2. We can check. Negative 3x plus 2x is indeed negative 1x. Okay. Now we got to figure out what we have in common, what we need to add. They have an x minus 3 in common. So that means on this one, I need to add an x plus 3 to be able to match that. Because that's the one that's missing, basically. On this one, I need an x plus 2 to be able to match that. Okay. So, notice when we multiply the bottom, I get x plus 2, x plus 3, x minus 3. On the top, we got to distribute 2x plus 4. Then we do the other fraction, plus. On the bottom, I have an x plus 2. It's multiplication, so we can reorder it. An x plus 3. And an x minus 3. They match, right? They're exactly the same. Distribute on the top. So I get negative 4x minus 12. 2x and negative 4x, those are going to combine. Positive 4 and negative 12, those are going to combine. Alright, so we get, wrong color. Get 2x minus 4x is negative 2x. 4 minus 12 is negative 8. X plus 2, x plus 3, x minus 3. And on the top, we can factor. It's a negative 2 GCF, and it's x plus 4. Oops, that was supposed to simplify, but it doesn't. X plus 2, x plus 3, x minus 3. So on quite a few of your homework problems, this thing that we just found would simplify with one of these, but it doesn't. None of them are exactly the same, so we end up with that as our answer. Not very exciting, because that's it. Okay, So once again, a lot of them will simplify. These are hard problems to actually make up on my own, and I thought I fixed it, and I didn't, apparently. So be warned that they will simplify in your homework. Okay, so you can write your 3-sentence summary.